感谢神再一次在这边与大家学习神的话语。
Praise and thank God that we may study the words of God with everyone.
愿神的恩惠平安与大家同在。
May the peace and joy of the Lord be with everyone.
人常说眼睛是灵魂之窗，
And people often say that our eyes are the window of our souls.
圣经其实也有说这个眼睛是身上的灯。
And so Bible also says that our eyes are the lights of our life.
我们来看马太福音第6章22节。
I turn to Matthew chapter 6, verse 22.
马太福音6章22节。
Matthew chapter 6, verse 22.
马太福音6章22节。
Matthew 6, 22.
眼睛就是身上的灯，你们的眼睛若嘹亮，全身就光明。
He said, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light.
你的第23节，
23.
你的眼睛若昏花，全身就黑暗；你里头的光若黑暗了，那黑暗是何等大呢？
If your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is our darkness?
透过眼睛啊，我们可以去见证神的大能，
And so with our eyes, we can witness the power of God.
我们可以去见证神美丽的创造，
We can see the wonderful creation of God.
可以去看这个五彩缤纷的色彩，
We can see the wonderful colors.
然后看到美丽动人的花朵，
We can see the beautiful flowers.
都可以用我们神赐给我们这个精密的眼睛去看。
And so we can all see these beautiful things with the beautiful and wonderfully designed eyes.
然后去享受、去体验。
And so we can experience its wonder.
但像这个圣经讲的哦，如果我们的眼睛一旦坏了，
But once our eyes are bad,
甚至瞎了，
let's say our eyes are blind,
我们的世界就陷入黑暗之中，
and our life will be full of darkness.
看不见光的日子是会使人畏惧。
And so a life without light or in total darkness would scare almost anyone.
所以我想说，今天早上呢，就用圣经上一段这个瞎子的故事作为我们互相的勉励。
So this morning I'd like to use a passage in the Bible regarding a blind person as mutual encouragement.
在这故事里面有3种人，
And so in this story there are 3 types of people.
而这3种人呢，都有不同的看见与看不见。
And some saw something, some couldn't see anything at all.
那我们就从这3种人不同的观点跟盲点做我们今天的学习。
And so we would study from the blind spots of these people.
我们先来看约翰福音第9章。
Let's turn to Gospel of John chapter 9.
约翰福音第9章。
John chapter 9.
约翰福音第9章呢，这边呢就讲到说，有一天耶稣在离开圣殿的路上，
And in John chapter 9, there records that on the way out of the synagogue,
他在路上呢就看到一个生来是瞎眼的人。
and Lord Jesus saw a person who was born blind.
那这个人呢就在路边乞讨。
And so this blind person was sitting at the corner begging.
那第2节呢，门徒看见呢，就问耶稣说：“谁犯了罪？
And so when the disciples saw this, they asked Jesus, so who sinned?
是这个人犯了罪呢，还是他的父母犯了罪？”
This man or his parents that he was born blind?
那当时候的时代这犹太人的时代，他们认为任何的疾病跟这个残疾大部分都是因为罪的关系。
In the times of Jews, they thought that with people born with illness or defects, perhaps his parents or this are related to sins.
所以当门徒看到这个人这个人生来就是瞎眼他们就觉得说他一定是有罪，或者是他父母犯了什么罪。
And so when this person was born blind, they definitely thought either he has sinned or maybe his parents have sinned.
所以一生下来呢，他就是一个瞎子。
And therefore, this person was born blind.
那这个瞎子呢，就是今天我们早上要学习的第1种人。
And so this is the first type of person that we will study this morning.
这个人呢，他从生下来就从来没有见过光。
And so this person, since he was born blind, he never saw light in his life.
他从来不晓得色彩，
So he has no concept of color.
他从来不晓得圆的跟正方形真正长的是什么样子。
And he couldn't even picture the true shape of a circle or a square.
他从来也不知道说风在吹动树，而树叶在风中轻轻的摇动，就仿佛这个树跟风在那边跳舞一样的这种景观。
And he couldn't see the wonders of the nature of how the wind may make the trees dance.
他更不知道说天上的这云朵呢有多的变化多端，
And also the changes of the cloud into many shapes.
晚上满天星星闪耀迷人。
And the beautiful stars in the sky.
这肉眼瞎掉的人哦，在很多事上是无法去想象。
And if you're born blind, you couldn't picture many things in this world.
很多事上他是无法去体会，
And it was impossible for you to experience
因为他们看不到。
because they couldn't see.
我们双眼能看见的人呢，是很难去了解这个瞎眼日子的艰辛。
And so for those of us who can see with our eyes, it's hard to picture how difficult the life will be.
那我们知道说瞎眼呢，他们的世界是使用他们其他的感官哦，手啊、耳朵啊，然后味觉来形成。
And for those who are born blind, they would try to use their touch and their smell, their hearing, and other senses of the body to experience the world.
那甚至呢，他们用手去摸出来的这个形状呢，在他的脑海中呈现出来的形状，其实跟这个眼睛去看的形状不一定是100%符合。
And the shape that they form in their brain based on what they touch many times is different from what a person will actually see with their eyes.
比如说，我们要是给他一朵玫瑰花，
For example, we give this blind person a
他
rose,
用手去触摸这朵花，
and so he tried to touch this rose,
那脑海中呈现出来这朵花的形状呢，跟我们常人用眼睛去看的同样一朵玫瑰花的形状不一样。
and so the shape of this flower that he pictured in his brain may be very different from what we would see with our eyes.
那我曾经读过一篇文章，在讲一个51岁的人，
And once I read an article about a 51-year-old.
他从小呢就眼睛失明，
He was blind at a very young age.
所以50年来呢，他都过在黑暗的日子当中
And。so for 50 years, he lived in complete darkness.
那最近因为呢，这科学的进步跟那个医学的发达，
And due to the advance in science technology,
那医生就有办法，有办法去医治他的眼睛，使他重见光明。
and so the doctor is able to perform some procedures so that he can see something.
但他能够看见的时候，他的头脑无法去处理他眼睛所看到的这些影像，
So even though his eyes could see, but his brain was unable to process the image.
因为呢，他眼睛所看到的跟他50年用他的感官去触摸出来的形状不一样。
Because everything he sees was different from what he thought it would be.
还有他对距离跟这个深度都无法去掌控，
And he was unable to detect the depth of anything.
所以他需要一段很辛苦的适应期。
And so it took him a while for him to get used to it.
但当他适应了以后呢，他说他不晓得是黄色是如此的黄，
And so afterwards, he got used to it. He realized how yellow is so bright.
红色是他最喜欢的颜色，他不晓得红色是红到这么美丽。
And he likes the color red, and he couldn't depict how vibrant the color red was.
他每天晚上呢，都到外面去看着天上的星星闪闪发光。
So every night he would go see the stars in the sky.
他说他一生没有想到他会有能够看见的日子。
And so he never thought that one day he'd be able to see.
所以他珍惜每一天所能够看见的东西。
And so he cherished every day that he could see something.
他神给我们一双健康的眼睛
And，so God gave us healthy eyes.
我们就要好好的去保护它，
Therefore, we should protect them
去利用它，多出去看看神给我们人类创造出这美好的世界，
and use them wisely to see the beautiful world that God created for us
去享受这大自然的千变万化。
and to enjoy the wonders of the nature.
那从这个大自然中呢，去体验神对人的爱。
And then we can experience how God loves us.
那神赐给我们这一对健康的眼睛，
And so God gave us a pair of healthy eyes.
我们就要利用它去读圣经、读神的话，
And so we should use it to study the Bible, to read the words of God.
去读一些教会的刊物，不要去看一些黄色的那个黄色的网站啦，或者是一些有色的笑话。
And so we use our eyes to read the Bible and something that's good for our soul rather than things that are unhealthy or obscene.
也不要将神赐给我们的眼睛呢，来作为拿来这个去玩这些电动玩具，
Or use our eyes to just play video games,
因为这一些呢都是有伤我们眼睛跟我们的心灵。
because these are bad for our eyes.
大卫在诗篇101篇第3节这边也有说，
And in Psalm, David said,
他说邪僻的事呢，他都不摆在他的眼前。
he said, anything that's wrong and crooked, he does not place in his eyes.
好，我们再回来这个看圣经这个瞎眼的人。
And so let's talk about this blind person.
所以当耶稣跟他门徒看见这瞎眼的人在路旁乞讨，
And so when Jesus and the disciples saw this blind person begging by the street,
那我们刚才念说，门徒就第一个反应就说，这个人是不是犯了什么罪，
and so the disciples asked, who sinned?
还是他的父母犯了什么罪？
He sinned or his parents sinned?
但第3节耶稣说，都不是，而是要在他身上显出神的作为来。
But Jesus said, neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus, but this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life.
那基督徒对罪的这个敏感度非常的高。
And so for Christians, we often very sensitive to sin.
因此呢，常常会将一些不幸的事情跟这个罪跟神的这个惩罚连贯在一起。
And so we often would connect the punishment of God with sins.
那在这种不知不觉中形成了一种论断，
And so without knowing, we may have judged someone.
形成了一种审判。
We may have judged someone wrongly.
那比如说有一个人得了癌症，
For example, if someone has cancer,
或者是得了一些比较难医治的一些疾病，
or maybe he's afflicted with a very serious illness,
那有些弟兄姐妹呢就很有爱心的去做这个访问。
and so some brothers and sisters may visit them.
那看到这躺在这病床上的这弟兄姐妹呢，就马上论断说这个因为犯了罪啊，你要悔改啊，要求神怜悯啊。
And some people may directly say, oh, you must have sinned, therefore you shall repent for God's mercy.
你没有犯罪了，就不会得到这种病啊。
And if you did not sin, then certainly you will not be afflicted with such illness.
这样子不但不能帮助这个病痛中的弟兄姐妹，
And so if that is our attitude, then we cannot help the brothers and sisters who are sick.
反而原本我们的关怀呢，就成为这弟兄姐妹的一个负担。
And instead, our visiting or our comforting became a burden to this person.
那对于我们在生病中的弟兄姐妹呢，没错，发生事情的时候，我们都应该要好好的反省。
And of course, when we encounter trials and hardship, it is a good time for reflections.
有时候真的可能是神的警告或者是管教，
And perhaps this is a warning or a discipline from the Lord,
这只有你跟神才知道。
but only you and God knows.
但也有可能是神要借着我们使神的名得荣耀。
But it is also possible that that's how God would receive His glory through us.
所以有时候人的不幸呢，不一定就是神审判或者是管教。
And so some misfortunes happen to people, not necessarily is a direct punishment from God.
所以像这个瞎子呢，耶稣说是要在他身上显出神的作为来。
And so here, Bible says that it's so that the work of God might be displayed in his life.
所以我们不要随随便便的去就下这个论断，
And so we should not judge too easily.
也不要随随便便将一个人的遭遇呢下一个罪的结论。
And so we should not conclusively determine that a person must have sinned in order for certain things to happen.
因为我们要是看耶稣接下来的这些动作，就知道神的安排跟智慧是人无法测度的。
And because we can see as the story unfolds that the arrangement and the will of God was far beyond what men can fathom.
第5节到第7节。
Let's read verse 5 to 7.
第5节，我在世上的时候是世上的光。第6节，耶稣说了这话，就吐唾沫在地上，用唾沫和泥抹在瞎子的眼上，对他说：“你去西罗西池子里去洗。”
Verse 5, the Lord Jesus says, While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Having said this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eye. Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam.
那我们想想哦，当时候一个不认识的一个路人哦，从旁边经过，
And so some stranger passed by.
那他说我要吐一口口水在地上，然后和着这个肮脏的泥土呢，然后把这一坨泥土涂在你的眼睛上。
He said, I'm going to spit on the ground, make some mud with my spit. I'm going to put it on your eyes.
那你想，这普通人的反应会是怎样？
And so what would an ordinary person's response?
要是我的话，我就说：“哎呦，你在干什么啊？
And of course, for most people, the response will be, what do you think you're doing?
这那么肮脏、那么恶心的东西，你有没有搞错啊？”
And this is so gross, and you must be mistaken.
那神呢？他有没有能力去吩咐这个瞎子，用吩咐的这种方式叫瞎子能看见？
Does God have the power to command this blind man to see?
很容易的一件事。
And of course, it's very easy.
但神为什么要吐唾沫和泥呢？
But why is it that God wants to spit on the ground and mix it with mud?
我想可能是要看这个人的谦卑度跟顺服度。
And to see how humble this blind person is.
那有时候呢，神的恩典不一定是会照我们人所想象的去成全。
And sometimes the will of God would not occur according to the path that we thought it should be.
有时候呢，神的话可能会借着一个毫无学问，然后穿着很邋遢的人来传达神的信息。
Sometimes the words of God or the message of God will be conveyed through someone who is very low level, who you think will never carry the message of God.
问题就在于我们能不能够虚心的下来去聆听神的话语。
It's a function of whether we're willing and capable of listening to the words of God humbly.
能不能够虚心的下来去听这个毫无学问、穿着邋遢人所说的话？
Are we able to listen to the words of this low-level person who may not be well-dressed or very eloquent in anything he says?
那有时候神的恩典是隐藏在那些被社会冷落、被弟兄姐妹冷落的人的背后。
And sometimes the blessing of God is behind those who were marginalized by the society.
他们是一群不起眼的人，
And perhaps people overlook them.
是一群不被重视的人。
Perhaps people pay no attention to them.
那他们等待我们伸出手来接纳他们。
And so they're waiting for us to receive them.
我们来看马太福音25章34节。
Let's turn to Matthew chapter 25.
马太福音25章34节。
Matthew 25 verse 34.
25章的34节。
Matthew 25:34.
34节，于是王要向那右边的说：“你们这蒙我父赐福的，可来承受那创世以来为你们所预备的国。”35节，
35.
因为我饿了，你们给我吃；渴了，你们给我喝；我做客旅，你们留我住。36节，
36.
我赤身露体，你们给我穿；我病了，你们看顾我；我在监狱，你们来看我。37节，
37.
一人就回答说：“主啊，我们 们什么时候见你饿了给你吃，渴了给你喝？什么时候见你做客旅留你住，或是赤身露体给你穿呢？又什么时候见你病了，或是在监狱来看你？王回答说：我实在告诉你们，这些事你们既坐在我弟兄中一个最小的身上，就坐在我身上了。在这边呢，这个神呢，告诉我们说，我们把一些把照顾弟兄姐妹的这些事做在他小子最小的身上，就是坐在神身上。
Your Bible tells us that if we do the least, if we give the least of the members among us and help them in anything, and then is doing it to God.
所以这边呢，这个动作，神吐唾沫在地上和泥的动作，就是在等待看看这个人会不会谦卑下来。
And so so Jesus spit on the ground and mix it with mud. It is a test to see whether this person will humble himself or not.
对我们来讲的话，我们也是不是能够谦卑下我们的身段，与这一些被冷落的这些人类人群跟他们做团契。
And so this is also a test for us, for ourselves, that are we willing to humble ourselves and help those who may be neglected.
我们要是愿意谦卑下来的话，神的恩典就临到了。
And so if we're willing to humble ourselves, and then the blessing of God will be with us.
那我们再看回来这个约翰福音第9章。
In John chapter 9.
约翰福音第9章，接下来我们来看这第二种人。
Let's study the second type of person.
这种人呢，他们是有眼却不想去看的人。
And these type of people with healthy eyes, yet they refuse to see.
那当这个瞎眼他得看见以后呢，就被带到那个法利赛人那里去。
And so when this blind person was healed, he was taken to the Pharisees.
那圣经说呢，这些法利赛人为了要确定他是不是真的生来就是瞎眼，就将他的父母带来。
And so the Pharisees wanted to verify that this person indeed was born blind. And so they call for his parents.
在20节到22节
In verse 20 to verse 22.
这边说，他父母回答说：“他是我的儿子，生来就是瞎眼，就是我们知道的，这是我们知道的。”21节，至于他如今怎么能看见，我们却不知道是谁开了他的眼睛，我们也不知道。他已经成了人，你们问他。就罢，他自己必能说。22节
22.
他父母说这话是怕犹太人，因为犹太人已经商议定了，若有认耶稣是基督的，就把他赶出会堂。在这边哦，这边讲到这个瞎子的父母。
Here it talks about the parents of this blind person.
他们这父母呢有眼睛。
And so his parents certainly have healthy eyes.
明明看见他们生来就瞎眼的儿子，今天得看见。
And so they clearly saw that their son who was born blind but now could see.
但是在这边却说，他们因为怕这个犹太人会把他们赶出会堂，因此他们不敢去承认耶稣是基督。
But his parents, they were afraid of the Jews, for already the Jews had decided that anyone who acknowledged Jesus was a Christ would be thrown out of the synagogue.
所以这种人呢，他看得见。
So they could see, yes.
但是他们却选择不愿意去看见。
But they chose not to see.
那有一些慕道者、慕道朋友，或者是甚至信徒，看见神的恩典，却选择不去看。
And so some visitors or some truth seekers or even members, even though they saw the blessings of God, but they may choose not to see.
那他们明明被神拣选到神的家里面来，
And so they were chosen into the household of God.
那听见神宝贵的福音，
And they heard the precious gospel of Jesus
也见证到神圣灵的大能，
and even experienced the power of Holy Spirit.
但是却迟迟不愿意去接受神的恩典。
But they reluctantly or not even reluctantly not willing to accept the blessing of God.
那这就是我所谓的看得见却不愿意去看。
And so this is what I meant by they saw, but they failed to see.
神的救恩、神的恩典就在这本圣经里，
And so the blessing of God is in this Bible.
而真耶稣教会就是100%按照圣经的教会，
So the true Jesus Church is a church that preach 100% according to the Bible.
这是有眼能看见的。
And this is something that everyone with eyes could see.
圣经告诉我们，神给我们天国的应许，
And so Bible teaches us the promise of heavenly kingdom.
这也是有眼睛能读得到的。
And so this is something that we can read with our eyes.
神赐下保惠师宝贵的圣灵住在我们当中，
And so God also sent us His Comforter, the Holy Spirit, among us,
来见证神所建立的教会与神所拣选的选民。
and to bear witness of His people and His chosen ones.
这也是能看见的。
And this is also something to be seen.
但是我们要是选择不愿意去看，
But if we choose not to see it,
所失去的是无法数算。
and so what we will lose will be unmeasurable.
那对一个信徒而言呢，
So for believers,
我们能够看见教会的软弱，
and we may be able to see some weaknesses in the church,
看到教会的一些领导者已经是心有余力不足，
and maybe some of the workers are willing to do the work, but physically unable to.
这是我们看得见的。
So these are the things that we can also see.
我们就应当要自告奋勇，为教会出力。
And so we have to strive and volunteer our service for the Lord.
比如说，教会缺乏这个访问组，
And for example, if the church needs a visitation team,
就可以从这个家庭的家庭查经区里面呢，去招人设立这个访问组。
and we can call volunteers from the original Bible study groups.
甚至从这个教会的中英文的这个查经班里面呢，也可以自告奋勇出来，招人设立访问组。
And so we can also call the Chinese or even English Bible studies to group the visitation teams.
那我们教会神赐福给我们有很多的年长的弟兄姐妹。
And so the church also gave us many elderly members,
其实年长的弟兄姐妹也可以想办法组成一个长青团契。
and they can also form a senior or elderly fellowship.
那从这长青团契中呢，组成一组长青访问组。
And they can also form a visitation team,
这样子呢，不但能够帮助教会的工人出力，
and then they can help with the many church work,
也回应了耶稣要我们牧养的工作。
and also it's a direct response to Jesus' calling for pastoring His church.
这时候就要问我们自己愿不愿意去看。
And so we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to see the needs?
那教会也需要很多青年出来帮忙圣工，
And the church also needs many young people to help with the church work.
这也是看得见的。
And so this is something that we can clearly see.
我们要是注意我们教会的出力的大部分都是这些中年的弟兄姐妹。
And so here in this church, most of the work are done by middle-aged members.
但我们看他们这一年代的人的人数比较少。
But we don't have a large group of middle-aged people.
这一年代的人，他们的体力也不如从前。
And their strength is not as before.
因为我们经常会看到说，不是这个受伤呢，就是那一个跛脚。
And so we can see that they often get injured or they get sick. They may not even walk properly.
这是我们看得到的。
And this is something that we can also see.
问题就在青年人愿不愿意去看。
But are the young people willing to see the needs?
安排的事工上愿不愿意去做、去处理？
Are they willing to volunteer their service and improve themselves for the work of God?
我们教会每一位弟兄姐妹都有被安排洗碗。
And so many brothers and sisters are assigned to do dishes.
那吃完饭呢，这个青年们呢就继续聊天。
And so after meal, many young people may continue with their fellowship.
那结果就是这些中年的弟兄姐妹先跑去洗碗。
And so many of the older brothers and sisters would help with the dishwashing.
等他们聊完了，这些碗也都洗完了。
And so when the conversation is over, so are the dishes.
这就是选择不去看。
And so if that occurs, that means you chose not to see it.
那下午清扫呢？青年们在房间里面聊天，没帮忙清扫。
And so sometimes the younger people would not help with the cleaning.
这也是选择不愿意去看。
And this is also a choice, choosing not to see it.
因为最后呢，不但这个福气得不到，
So if you don't see it, then not only you will not receive your blessings,
还有可能会被神打个叉叉，
and you may be giving a low grade by God,
说你是个不尽心、不尽力、不尽性爱主你的神。
and that we did not love the Lord with all our God, with all our soul, and with all our strength.
这就是双倍的损失。
And so this is we would be penalized more harshly.
所以年轻的弟兄姐妹啊，千万不要选择不去看。
And so for younger brothers and sisters, we should definitely not choose not to see.
千万不要选择不去关心教会的事工。
And we should not choose not to pay attention to the church work, no matter how small.
那我们最后再来看这第三种人，
So let's study the third type of people.
这种人呢，他也是肉眼看得见，
So these type of people, they could see with their eyes,
但是他却是一个属灵的瞎子。
but spiritually they are blind.
我们刚才学习第一种人呢，他虽然肉眼瞎了，
So we mentioned that there was this blind person. Physically, he couldn't see,
但他的心却没有瞎。
but his eyes were not blind.
那我们看这法利赛人一直质问他，
So the eyes of his heart was not blind. So because the Pharisees kept questioning him,
他说这个耶稣是谁？
so they asked him, "Who is Jesus?"
一直问他说耶稣是怎么帮他把眼睛医好的？
And the Pharisees asked him multiple times, "How did Jesus heal him?"
我们来看这一段的对话，
So let's study this conversation.
26节。
Verse 26.
26节，他们就问他说：“他向你做什么事？怎么开了你的眼睛？”27节，
27.
他回答说：“我方才告诉你们，你们不听，为什么又要听呢？莫非你们要做他的门徒吗？”28节，
28.
他们就骂他说：“你是他的门徒，我们是摩西的门徒。神对摩西说话是我们知道的，只是这个人我们不知道他从哪里来。30节，
30.
那人回答说：他开了我的眼睛，你们既不知道他从哪里来，这真是奇怪。31节，
31.
我们知道神不听罪人，唯有敬奉神、遵行他旨意的神才听他。从创世以来，未曾听见有人把生来是瞎子的眼睛开了。33节，
33.
这人若不是从神来的，什么也不能做。我们就念到这里啊。
We'll stop here for now.
那这边呢？这边这个瞎子，他虽然眼睛瞎了，
And so the blind person thought he physically was blind,
但是他却很清楚明白耶稣是从神来的。
but he clearly knew that Jesus was from God.
可见呢，他虽然眼睛瞎了，他的心眼没有瞎。
So even though physically he was blind, but spiritually his eyes were wide open.
其实这个瞎子哦，他在这件事上的经过非常清楚所发生的一切事。
But for this blind person, he was clearly clearly aware of what happened.
因为在11节那边呢，这个耶稣跟门徒已经离开这瞎子了。
Because in verse 11, Jesus' disciple had departed from this blind person.
我们继续往下看的话，就知道他能够看见以后，却不知道耶稣跟门徒是谁，在第12节这边。
In verse 12, even though he now could see, but he could not acknowledge who Jesus and the disciples were.
但是他但是当别人在问他眼睛是怎么开的，
But when they questioned him, how his eyes were open,
他却能够一一的诉说出来。可见的这个耶稣他在行这神迹的时候，这个人他非常清楚每一个步骤。
and so he was able to answer very clearly. So he understood the steps that Jesus took to open his eyes.
也有可能是耶稣跟门徒他把这些步骤说给他听，
Maybe Jesus' disciple explained these steps to him.
所以他才能够如此的清楚这个把这些经过诉说出来。
And that's why he was able to understand these steps.
那当耶稣知道他被赶出来的时候，
And so when Jesus knew that he was thrown out of the synagogue,
后来他圣经说他耶稣遇见了这个人，
and so Jesus then found this blind man,
然后就很清楚的告诉他说：“我就是神的儿子。
and Lord Jesus told him clearly that I am the Son of God. ”
那38节呢，这个人就说：“主啊，我信，就拜耶稣。”
And verse 38 says, Lord, I believe, and he worshiped him.
所以虽然他眼睛曾经瞎了，但他属灵的眼睛却没有瞎，看得很清楚。
Even though physically he was blind, but spiritually his eyes were open and he could see very clearly.
反而是这些法利赛人，他们肉眼没有瞎，
But for these Pharisees, physically their eyes were open,
但他们的属灵的眼睛却瞎了。
but their spiritual eyesights were shut.
这些法利赛人呢，他们不分青红皂白，就先将耶稣定一个罪人的罪名。
And so the Pharisees first labeled Jesus as a sinner.
其实我们都知道，耶稣就是犹太人等待很久的弥赛亚，
So
救世主。
So Jesus was the Messiah that the Jewish people had been waiting for ages.
但是这些法利赛人，他们却不愿意去相信，
But the Pharisees, they refused to believe.
因为在这边的在22节这边，他说他们已经都商议好，若有认耶稣是基督的，就要把他赶出去会堂。
Verse 22, for the Pharisees had decided that anyone who acknowledged that Jesus was the Christ would be put out of the synagogue.
他们不愿意去相信耶稣是基督，
And they refused to acknowledge that Jesus was the Christ.
也不愿意去看见耶稣所行的神迹是从神而来。
And they refused to acknowledge that the miracle Jesus performed was from God.
28节，他们执行摩西的律法，只愿意做摩西的门徒。
And verse 28, they claim themselves to be the disciples and the follower of Moses only.
因此呢，他们自义。
And therefore, they became self-righteous of that fact.
好，他们成为他们的自义成为他们的一个盲点。
And so their self-righteousness became their blind spots.
所以耶稣在39节到41节，
And therefore, Jesus in verse 39 and verse 41,
耶稣说：“我为审判到这世上来，叫不能看见的可以看见，能看见的反瞎了。”我们跳到41节，
verse 41.
耶稣对这些法利赛人说：“你们若瞎了眼，就没有罪了。但如今你们说我们能看见，所以你们的罪还在。”这个法利赛人呢，是当时候一群非常严谨摩西律法的一群人。
And so the Pharisees were the group of Jews who followed the laws of Moses strictly.
他们所讲究的是这些摩西的这些条规。
And so they focus on these regulations set by the rules of Moses.
他们眼睛所看见的都是是否这些人有没有遵守摩西的律法跟条规。
And so what they care about is, are people following to the letters of the rules of and the regulations of Moses?
也因为他们只重视着怎么样遵守条规，因此他们看不见真正律法的精髓。
Because they only want to make sure people follow it, but they do not care about whether really what is the true meaning behind this law.
看不见这律法真正的精义就是神的爱。
That is, the true meaning behind the law of Moses and the law of God is love.
那教会工人呢，部分的工作也是需要将神的律法的阐明。
And so, of course, the church workers need to explain the law of God clearly
把神的律法这个教导于弟兄姐妹。
and to teach the brothers and sisters the commandments of God.
但要是一味的只讲律法而不讲神的爱，
But if we only focus on the law and neglecting the love of God,
这个道理会缺乏这个完整性，
and then the teachings will be somewhat incomplete.
也可能会让人听起来好像是很自义。
And it makes the sermon or the doctrine sounds very academic and self-righteous.
那再来呢，这一些法利赛人，他们肉眼明明可以看见这个瞎子的眼睛得看见，
And so the Pharisees, they could clearly see that this blind man, a blind person was healed.
但是他们属灵的眼睛却看不见这个是神的作为。
But spiritually, they fail to see that this was truly the work of God.
那这瞎子屡次告诉他们说，耶稣是从神来的，
And so this blind person told them that Jesus indeed was from God.
才能够行如此大的神迹。
That's why he was able to perform such great miracle.
但是这些法利赛人的心灵的眼睛已被他们的指引给蒙蔽了。
But the Pharisees, they had already blinded by their own self-righteousness.
所以他们一直没办法看清楚，也没办法这个认同耶稣就是弥赛亚，耶稣所行的这些神迹。
And so they could not acknowledge the miracles that Jesus did.
那作为神的工人，
So as workers of God,
我们也要非常注意哦，不要让我们的属灵的眼睛闭上了。
and so we have to be careful not to shut our spiritual eyes.
比如说哈，明明看见这位弟兄讲的道理有点偏差，
For example, perhaps we notice someone's conduct or his words or his preaching may be deviated.
那但是因为怕去指正他，结果怕他到最后就不来教会了啊，就让他一直继续在台上讲道。
But we afraid of for personal reasons, or maybe thought he would not come to church anymore, and we did not correct this person in a timely manner.
这就是肉眼看见，在属灵的眼睛却闭上了。
And so this could be one example of even though our eyes could see, but our spiritual eyes fail to see.
或者说哈，比如神聚集了很多的小羊来到这个羊圈里，
Or for example, God had gathered many of his lambs to the church.
这些小羊呢，形成宗教教育的一股力量。
And so these lambs of God, they are now a very good, very abundant, very strong group in the religious education.
那我们知道说，宗教教育这些学员哦，不只是教会未来的栋梁，
So our RE students, they are not only the pillar of the church
其实我们要注意去看
of，the future.
其实我们要是注意去看哈，他们也是教会现在的一个核心。
And so they are also the core members of our church.
因为宗教教育办得好的话，父母自然会把孩子带来。
And so if we have a very strong religious education, then the parents will be willing to bring their kids to the church.
那宗教教育要是办得不是很妥当的话，小孩子不想来，也会影响父母来教会。
But if the RE program is not strong, then the kids may not want to come. It may also affect the parents.
所以工人哦需要多多注意这个宗教教育。
And so church workers need to pay much attention to religious education.
严格训练培植这个师职。
And so we need to train many qualified teachers.
可以用宗教教育来带动来带动这个整个教会。
And so that the church work may go forward.
因为我们要是注意看，我们要是教会宗教教育那个去办一些宗教教育的活动，
And so if we would to organize some RE activities,
父母就跟着要动起来，
and then the parents will also need to get involved.
甚至小朋友的爷爷奶奶都要跟着要一起动起来。
And so sometimes even the grandparents will get involved.
所以很多时候宗教教育的活动呢，就整个教会就一起跟着动起来。
And so if we would have our RE activities, and it may transform into energies for additional activities.
所以工人要是没有多下一点功夫来整顿这个宗教教育，
And so if we neglect the importance of religious education,
而让这些小羊从宗教教育里面迷失了，
and if we let our students gradually leave the church,
很可能他们的属灵的眼睛闭上了，
and their spiritual eyes may be shut,
看不到这个神圣功的这个动向。
and unable to see the direction of God's work.
所以，我们今天要注意我们的眼睛到底有没有在看，
And so we have to open our eyes and see,
我们的肉眼有没有看到教会的一些需要，
and do we see some of the needs within the church?
属灵的双眼有没有看到神的作为、神的工作的方向？
Spiritually, are we able to see the work of God and the direction?
我们大家要一起来学习，
And so everyone needs to do this together.
将我们的眼睛睁大去看，
And so we need to open our eyes and see
去做，
and to do.
不要做一个瞎眼，
And we do not want to be a blind person.
心眼也瞎，灵里也瞎的人。
We do not want to be someone who is not just physically blind, but spiritually blind.
最后，我想要跟大家分享一段影片。
I'd like to share a video with everyone.
我们请那个 AV 把那个影片那个放上来。
I'd like to ask the AV team to actually show this video. Perhaps someone can shut off the light in the back.
那
But
这一段影片呢，是关于一位10岁的这个自闭症的孩子。
So this video has to do with a child who was suffering from autism.
那他生下来就是瞎眼，
He was born blind.
因为他母亲吸毒，在怀孕的时候吸毒，因此造成他生下来就是瞎眼，又加上是自闭症。
And because his mother, during her pregnancy, was a drug addict, and therefore he was born blind with autism.
后来他2002年呢，他舅舅领养了他。
And so in year 2002, his uncle adopted him.
他们发觉说呢，这个孩子很爱唱歌。
And so they discovered that this boy likes to sing.
那刚开始都是唱一些国歌。
He would sing national anthems,
那
war
在
songs.
2004年，在他4岁左右的时候，
And in 2004, when he was about 4 years old,
这个孩子跟着一个福音团出去传教，
and so he followed a missionary trip.
结果出人意外呢，这孩子在台上唱出一首诗歌，叫做《打开我心的双眼》这首诗。
And so he is singing a hymn says, "Open my spiritual eyes."
那我们来看这段影片。
And so let's see this video.
Was on drugs, Oxycontin,
这段影
cocaine,
片，
and
结果出
he's
人
a
意外，
nephew of
这
ours.
孩子在台上唱出
Florida and took
一
him out
首
of the closet years ago.
诗歌，叫做《打开我心的双眼》这首诗。
And so he is singing a hymn says, "Open
a blessing
my
to our
spiritual
family.
eyes."
那我们来看
And
这段
he
影
loves to
片。
share his
And
gifts.
so let's
This March, he was kind of discovered by being a leader in all the local media outlets in Boston. And a nephew of ours. He's been singing a lot of patriotic songs. But to back up a few years, in 2004,
minute 2.
mission trip with 8 Days of Hope. And at 4 years old, he went down to the front of the music ministry and media. They handed him a microphone and sang, and he's the song he's going to sing tonight.
看到自闭症的小孩，他们没办法
Back up a few years.
控制他们自己的一些动作。
And so many autistic child unable to control themselves.
但是你看，等一下看他开始唱诗的时候，真的很感谢
At
神。
4 years old, he went down to the front of
So
the
we're very thankful
那个
that
老了，
ministry and media. They handed him a microphone and sang, and he's the song he's going to sing tonight.
看到自闭症的小孩，他们没办法控制他们自己的一些动作。
and so many autistic child unable to control themselves.
但是你看，等一下看他开始唱诗的时候，真的很感谢神。
4 years old, he went down to the front of the ministry.
I want to see.
They handed him a microphone and sang, and he's the song he's going to sing tonight.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord.
And so
Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see. I want to see. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. I want to pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up. Open the eyes of my heart, shining in the light. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see. I want to see. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see.
所以这个10岁的自闭儿啊，这个自闭儿跟个瞎子，
And so this autistic child who was also blind,
他一生也从未见过光，
so he never seen light,
也不知道色彩的美丽。
and he doesn't know the beauty of color.
从他纯洁的心灵唱出他对神的一个祷告。
And yet, from his innocent heart, he sang a prayer to the Lord
他祷告神能够将他的心中的双眼打开，
to open the eyes of his heart
能够看见神。
so that he can see God.
我们一起来唱诗46首。
So let's sing hymn number 46.